Hi everyone, so I'm joined today by a gentleman by the name of Peter Gregson. Hi Pete, how are you?
Fine. Hi, Gordon. I'm fine, thanks.
Pete, would you like to tell this fine audience just who you are and why I've brought you on? Because it's extremely important that we bring you on at this current in time to tell your story, I believe. Why don't you tell the folks at home exactly who you are and what's happened to you?
I'm a 62-year-old man. I've got two kids. I live in Edinburgh. I work at the NHS, and I've been a shop steward at the NHS. And I was, active as a shop steward. And I was doing a lot of stuff about whistleblowing. That was the main thing that I was interested in, within the NHS, bullying, mismanagement, that kind of thing. I'm also a member of the Labour Party. Now, my campaign with the Labour Party was around the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. And this is a new definition, which was adopted by the party on the 4th of September, that said if you say Israel is a racist endeavour, you could be an anti-Semite. Now, notice the word could.
Yeah.
The Brits being the Brits, they always go obsessive about rules. So if you say something like could, it almost always, somebody will try and interpret it as definitely so. So now in this country, if you say Israel's a racist endeavour, you're likely, you could be expelled or disciplined. And I'm talking millions of people here, probably about 10 million people are now at risk, and they don't even know it.
Now, this is a rule that actually came. I'm right in thinking that this is a rule that was sort of solidified back in September at the party conference. Is that correct?
Well, the reason I say 10 million is because I'm bringing in all the trade unions. That's 6.5 million people. I'm bringing in 30% of the councils, the police, the government. You add them all up, plus the Labour Party, 550,000. Yes, this was adopted by the National Executive Committee on the 4th of September, and they had the conference about 2 or 3 weeks later, and they claimed that conference ratified it. Conference didn't get to discuss it. The whole thing was a done deal behind closed doors.
So this is not just the Labour Party have obviously done this in September. But it's obviously not just the Labour Party. It's being extended out to all the unions as well. This is obviously much bigger than the Labour Party itself.
Well, the government, I think, adopted it in it all started about 3 or 4 years ago. It can be traced to more or less the rise of Corbyn. When Corbyn hit the scene, that was when there was a concerted effort.
I wonder why that is, Peter.
Well, because they know Corbyn is critical of Israel, and Israel's behind all this.
Oh, of course, it's that's something that I can see plain as day. This is not a case of them claiming anti-Semitism where there is any. Obviously, anti-Semitism is a problem in this country, as is all racism. But the anti-Semitism card, it seems to me, is being played here as a deflection from criticisms of Israel's crimes against Palestine.
If you look at the history from 2000, Israel looked at South Africa, even went to South Africa and thought, we don't want this. We do not want what's happened in South Africa to happen in Israel. We don't want equality. We don't want everyone having a vote. And they realized they had to work because the sanctions movement, if you recall, from 2000, was really beginning to bite. And the Israelis hated it. This whole thing about boycott, divestment, and sanctions really, really terrifies them because they know that no country can withstand it if it's called an apartheid state. And so in 2000, they started working to redefine anti-Semitism. So they knew that the only way they could beat this thing is if they could make criticism of Israel synonymous with criticism of all Jews.
Which in itself, that seems to me to be anti-Semitic in itself. Because then what they're saying inherently then is all Jewish people support Israel's crimes and whatever Israel is doing or the right-wing Likud party is doing against Palestinians. That is an anti-Semitic trope, surely, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look, there's about 50%, I think, of Jews that don't support Israel. Or maybe, they don't want to go and live there, that's for sure. If you look at the stats, Israel wants more and more Jews to come there and, would want every opportunity to get them to come. And they're panicking because within Israel, If you look at the occupied territories and so on, there are probably about the same number of Arabs. And if it was truly democratic, in a couple of years' time, Haaretz reckons you'd have an Arab prime minister.
Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine? It wouldn't be Israel; it'd be some different country. But I mean, I'm not. I don't want Israel. I'm not against the existence. I'm just saying if it becomes democratic and if it gives all the Arabs living in the occupied territories the vote, as they should do, because they are ruled by the Knesset, even though they don't want to be. I mean, their airspace and so on is all controlled by the Knesset. Their waters, their food, their supply, everything. If that's the case, they should get to vote for the Knesset. And if that happened, we'd have an Arab prime minister, and I would be happy. Yeah. And I think the Middle East would suddenly become very different, because what's been an ongoing sore for the last 80 years would begin to disappear. Okay, there would be problems. And I was at a conference last Thursday, and I said, this two-state solution that the government wants and the Labour Party wants, it's not viable anymore.
It's a pipe dream, isn't it?
They've taken away so much land from the Palestinians, as you're talking about a couple of villages and a bit of Gaza. It's not going to work. What we need is a single state solution. And of course, the single state solution is what the Israelis are terrified of.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm no expert on it at all. I've obviously brushed up on my history and looked back in history as much as I can, but it just seems to me that at the very least to go back to the 1967 borders. At the very least.
Oh no, I think they give up. I think the point is then you've got the right to return. You've got all those people who were expelled in the Nakba who have a right to come back. There's a UN resolution still extant saying they should be given that homecoming. If you try and have a two-state solution without significant reparations by Israel, you're not going to have peace. So what they have to have is, I think, and this is what a lot of Palestinians I speak to think, not the Palestinian Authority, but then I don't think they're very democratic. Palestinians I speak to think, we're looking at a single state solution, a single state from the river to the sea, where everyone's equal, where there are no discriminatory laws, and where everyone has equal rights. That has to work. It's happened in South Africa. It's going to be painful, but it has to happen, because any other arrangement will just continue the rancor.
Thanks for watching. Please make sure you're still subscribed and click the bell below for a notification of when I drop further videos. Also, click through to my website to find out ways which you can support me. I can't do this without your support, and I really appreciate it. Till next time, peace and take care.